We are going to give you an introduction on the skill book that your child will be taking. They will take the test at school once they have had the opportunity to practice. There is math and there is also reading skill books. This is the screen that your student will see. The teacher will set them up on the correct skill book they are testing on. So, for example, the teacher will have selected math if they're taking their math skill book test. The first math skill book test is number sets to 10, and it's to count, order, and place value with 10. So the teacher will set up all of this for your student. This is an example of a student. This teacher will also type in her name and get up her screen because it's tailored to each kid so we can keep track of each person's score. And then they'll be at the beginning and it'll say start test, and they know to click this button. They will also have headphones on to be able to hear what the test wants them to do. They know to raise their hand if they can't hear, and also to click the microphone and the speaker in the corner to hear the directions again. So we'll hit start test.
Put 3 apples on the plate.
The first one says to put 3 apples on the plate, and it would read out the question aloud. So once they hear this, they will have to come down and actually click an apple in order for it to go onto the plate. Once they have 3 apples on the plate, they can go on, and they know to click down here to go to question number 2.
Put all the balls with stripes in one basket.
Put all the balls with stripes in one basket,
in the other
and all the balls with dots in the other basket. So they're wanting them to sort, which would be, they would have to know that all of the dots go together and all of the stripes go together. If they mix them up, then that would be counted as wrong.
Click on the shortest bell.
This is one where they want them to know what shortest means. They want them to find the shortest bell and click it. So if your child doesn't understand the concept of something being shorter or taller than the other, then they might struggle with this one. If they do understand what the concept of shortest is, they will be able to click the shortest bell and click go on.
Click on one
Here it
apple.
wants them to click on one apple. This is to see if they understand what 1 means. Even if you don't understand that 1 is just a number, or we can write O-N-E, they also want them to know what 1 looks like. Can you count 1 pencil? Can you count 1 apple? So that is the point of this question.
Put 10 candies
Then it wants them
into
to
each
put
box.
10 candies into each box. These tests can get a little tricky, and sometimes you think your kid might know the concept, but if they do not listen closely to the directions, then they can easily get it wrong. Because this one wants them to put 10 candies into each box. So if they only put it in one box, then they're going to get it wrong. If they split it and put 5 in one box and 5 in the other to make for a total of 10, that still is counted wrong, because they want 10 in each box. So in order to do that, your kid will have to click and actually physically drag each piece of candy. Now this can take a long, especially when they're getting used to learning how to navigate the mouse, and just learning which right click and left click is. So sometimes the computer gets in the way of the knowledge, but once they get familiar with them and get higher into skill books, it should become more easy. So we'll finish putting 10. Also, some might get confused here because if they miscount or they don't go back and check, they might put 1 extra or 1 less because they don't run out. They could keep adding. So unless they are exactly sure how many they put, it won't be counted correct.
Click on the
This
student
one wants them to
who
click
is
on the
first
student
in
who
line.
is first in line. first in line. They have to understand that this person would be first, and they have to understand what first is. Know that he is number 1 in line. They would also need to know you don't start back here, but this would be the beginning. So that's something else that some students may get tricked on. Okay. This one wants them to click on 2 trucks. It's that number sense again where they want them to know what 2 looks like.
Click on the student who is last
in line. Here, they would have to know where the end of the line was, and they would also have to understand what the term last meant. Because some of these terms are new for students, so until they really understand last and first in positional words, this can become tricky also.
Click on
Here
10
it wants them
birds.
to know what 10 birds look like. So they have to click on 10 birds. So they have to be able to count to 10 and select all the birds without leaving any off to understand that that is how 10 looks.
Put 10
This one
pencils
wants them to put
into
10
the
pencils
box.
in the box. So they have to be able to click and drag and count 10. Where I've seen students get tricked is it lets them place the pencil anywhere in the box. So some of them might place it really close over top the other ones. And when they're going back to count and see how many they've already put in, they're miscounting. So I try to make sure they know to space them out so they can go back and count them easily without getting confused if one is on top of the other. So this way I'd be able to go back and easily count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Count
Here
from
it wants
1
them to count
to 10.
from 1 to 10. So they have to be able to order numbers correctly from 1 to 10. Now sometimes students get confused because they want to start at 1 again, and they don't realize that they've already given them 1, and they've already given them 10. So we have to come figure out what is next. Here is 2. And they have to be able to physically click and drag the mouse. So they have to be able to put them in order, recognize the number, and manipulate the mouse to put them in the correct order.
Click on
This one
all
wants them
of
to
the
click on all
numbers
the numbers
that are between 2 and 7.
This can get tricky for students because they don't want 2 or 7 because they want what's between it. And some students will try to add in 2 and 7, or some will just try to click 2 and 7 because they think that's giving them the answer. So what I try to have students do is write out a number line from 1 to 10. And what 2 numbers it gives you on your screen, it gives you 2 and 7. I tell them to put 1 finger over 2 and 1 finger over 7 and look and see what comes in between those 2 numbers. And then those are the ones they find on the screen to click. Of course, that would be 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, we don't want to click any other numbers or that would be counted wrong.
Click on the
they
dog,
want you to click
which
the dog
is
that is second in
line.
line. So they have to understand which is second and know that that is 1, 2. He is second in line.
Click on
they want to
all
know which
of the
numbers
numbers
are
that are
greater
greater
than
than
6.
6.
So some of them I've seen will just click on one number greater than 6. They don't realize that they have to click on all of the numbers that are greater than 6. They miss that keyword all. So, I mean, we're really honing in on knowing the keywords and listen to exactly what the directions are asking. So if they drew that number line 1 to 10, they could put their finger over 6, and anything past 6 would be bigger or greater. And so we would say 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, make sure your students understand that greater and bigger are the same thing. Because if you use bigger at home or larger, and then this test asks them about greater, then that's also going to leave room for confusion. So make sure you use multiple terms when you talk about greater, bigger, more than, or if you say less than, smaller, things like that. Don't just use one term.
How many
Here they
groups
want you to
of
figure
10
out how
are
many groups
shown?
of 10 are shown. So they have to realize and recognize that each domino set shows a group of 10. So instead of counting each individual dot or counting each one as 2, they have to realize that this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, and this is 6. There are 6 sets or 6 groups of 10.
There are 10 flowers
Here they have to
in
realize
each
that there are
vase.
10 flowers in
How
each
many
vase.
groups of
And they
10
want to
are
know
shown?
how many groups of the 10 are shown. So this would be 1 group, this would be 2 groups, and this would be 3 groups. This is something that you might have to sit down and actually show them on paper or let them draw examples of a set of 10 and then say, okay, now draw 2 sets of 10. How many sets did you draw? Something that they would need practice on.
Click on the cat, which is
this is pretty
7th
much
in
the
line.
end of it. I think we've went through all the questions. From here on out, they kind of pretty much repeat positional words, number sense, greater than, in between, and this is all the numbers from 1 to 10. So just be aware that this is how the test will look. Be aware of your vocabulary and the terms you use. I would try to use a large amount in different ones because they're going to hear it in all ways, so you want them to be familiar with all of them, and then realize that there's ways for them to get tricked up. So if they don't pass it one day, it's not necessarily they don't know the content. They might have just miscounted or done something else, and so maybe the next time they take it, just tell them to listen carefully, make sure they're following the directions, and double checking their answers. And if you have any questions, just be sure to let your child's teacher know.